Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about Secret Wars. With the MCU developing and what seemingly the next big Infinity Gauntlet or Endgame type of event happening, Infinity War type event, is going to be this Secret Wars. So what is Secret Wars? Well, there's a couple different runs. There's one, the original run from 1984 that most people know about, and then there's the other run from Hickman and Ribic in 2015. So the original run was written by Jim Shooter. It's one of the most famous runs because it has a few really good keys in it. I'm going to talk about a couple different things about this. I'm going to talk about the story as what are they going to potentially pull from, what keys are good in these two runs, what characters they may pull from, and is this what they're going to use in the movies. So without further ado, let's get into it. So from the 1984 run, the big keys are obviously number one, where number one is the first event comic book series that occurred, a mini series that was an event. So all these different these crossovers and all these different events led up to Secret Wars. It was kind of like a big deal, and it still really is, because we still get these crossover events, these tie-in events, these big events that happen, and some of them are pretty good. Secret Wars is one of the most famous ones, if not the most famous. The other major keys are issue number 3, which is the appearance of the second Titania. Titania, we've seen, has come to the She-Hulk series. She was the big bad, well, one of the big bads in that. The other big keys are issue number 6. That's the first appearance of the new Spider-Woman. It's also the death of Wasp. So what also makes these runs very good is there's major stakes in them. And what's also awesome about them is that they have, it's kind of a multiverse situation. So characters can legitimately die and be dead. So that issue number 6 was the first cameo of Spider-Woman, and then the first full appearance of the new Spider-Woman is in issue 7. And then issue 8 is the big book. That's kind of the money book of the whole thing, and that's the first appearance of the symbiote that later becomes Venom. Peter Parker touches this alien life form, basically this black glob. It's kind of like out of nowhere in the story, but he touches that, and then it gets on his suit. His suit becomes black. It's not the first appearance of the black suit, but it is the first appearance of that symbiote. Last issue is kind of a big deal because She-Hulk joins the Fantastic Four. She-Hulk is kind of a bigger deal in the Secret Wars run, and then the Thing leaves the Fantastic Four and he stays on this battle world. So as far as the keys in the Hickman run and the Ribic run, by the way, Esad Ribic is one of my favorite artists. Alex Ross, probably number one. Ribic is right there. His internal artwork is incredible. Not a lot of keys in this run, but the big one is issue number 1, where we have the Marvel Universe that we know. I think it's like Universe 616, I believe is the number, the coding or whatever, and then it merges with the Ultimate Universe. So that's where those other characters are coming from. Issue number 2 has the first appearance of God Emperor Doom. This is an alternate universe version of Doctor Doom. Emperor Doom is kind of like this all-powerful being that's on this battle world. We see his alternate universe form in issue number 2. Issue number 6 is kind of like a minor key where Black Panther wields the Infinity Gauntlet. So as far as a speculation and from a financial and investment perspective, obviously the original run is much more valuable. Price-wise, you're looking at like $300 to $350 depending on condition. And then the Hickman Ribic run is probably around like $90 to $100 or so as of right now, obviously in like near mint condition. So as far as storylines and what they could potentially pull from. So I just recently read both of these. I read the 2015 version first, and then I read the 84 version. The 2015 version, I blew through it. I mean, I just couldn't stop reading it. The 1984 version is wordy, and it's an older comic. modern comics are, in my opinion, a better read. I know I'm sure I'm losing a lot of viewers right there, but it's just it's a lot faster of a read. It's a lot less verbose. It's you get through them quicker. The Secret Wars from '84, it's still got that that writing from the '70s, the early '80s, where it's there's a lot more explanation of what's happening in the panel as well as the panel, and it's just a little bit wordier. As far as the storyline from the '84, so basically the gist of it is our heroes are transported onto this battle world that's been created by Doctor Doom. So we have Doctor Doom is the big bad mostly in both of these. In issue 1, I forgot to mention this, is also a key of it, is the first appearance of this Beyonder. The Beyonder first appears as this white light. So this Beyonder character brings all of these heroes and villains to this battle world. There's all these weapons and bases, basically just setting it up for like an all-out war. So the different factions are Galactus exists there, Doctor Doom exists there, the Avengers type heroes led by Captain America, and then we have the X-Men. So the X-Men and the Avengers are kind of two different entities, and then the Fantastic Four are kind of led by Reed Richards, are kind of in with the Avengers group. So the gist of it is the X-Men have their own opinions or about what needs to happen, led by Xavier and Cyclops, and then Captain America has his own opinions about how things should be handled and how the battle should take place. There are major stakes that occur, including deaths of a couple major characters. And then big battles occur. It kind of feels, so there's a toy line that goes along with Secret Wars, and it's pretty obvious that there was a lot of marketing behind that toy line, and that it was just kind of a clash of heroes. We need to have a reason as to why to put them together. And then the Beyonder, which we never really see, he's more of kind of like an entity that kind of like goes into different heroes and villains. Doctor Doom is trying to become all-powerful, as Doctor Doom always does, and he's trying to obtain all this power. And the whole time, Galactus is inside, being an eater of worlds, a major threat that's insurmountable for our heroes, happening in the background. So that's kind of the gist of the Secret Wars from '84. Now, the Secret Wars from 2015 has a lot of similarities. We have Battle World again. Our heroes are not transported there as well, but we have alternate universe heroes. So we get Miles Morales. That's the big clincher here, is we're getting these other heroes that are super important, and that very obviously the MCU is going in that direction, where many of these heroes that are prominent in this, like Black Panther is a big deal in this. Many of the heroes that we see on the big screen and on the shows, they're more present in this as opposed to in the 1984 version. So as far as story-wise, it's quite a bit different. One of the big crossovers in both of these stories is the appearance of Molecule Man. So if you don't know, Molecule Man is one of the big villains of the Fantastic Four. I think he appears in like Fantastic Four 20 maybe. It's an early issue. Molecule Man can manipulate molecules. That's what he can do. He can manipulate inanimate, non-living things and make them whatever. So Doctor Doom, or God Emperor Doom in the 2015 version, is kind of harnessing Molecule Man's power, and he is making this battle world, which is basically pieces of the Earth that we know, and is the kind of the God Emperor, the ruler of it. And there's different continents, different areas that are ruled by other villains and other powerful beings. So there's a lot more interesting villains in the 2015 version. It's a lot of like B-list type villains in the '84 version, and I think the 2015 version could kind of probably lend itself more to what we'd see on the big screen. So what I think will likely happen is it'll be kind of like an Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War situation where they pull pieces of it. So they take the idea that all these heroes come together, they get put there. Doctor Doom, we establish him as the big villain, and then we kind of go from there. I don't think we're taking directly from these storylines. I think they'll make their own storyline, like Thanos' storyline, because if you read Infinity Gauntlet, you can see where they pulled some from that, but it's its own thing. It's not anything like the movie. One of the big characters they're building up is Kang the Conqueror, what we saw in Loki, and him being one of the major villains. He's kind of glossed over and kind of plays second fiddle. Easily conquered in the '84 version. I would say we'll probably see more of him, make him a bigger threat. But the biggest takeaway from all of this is we have to establish the Fantastic Four, and we have to establish the X-Men, and really the Richards family with Franklin. The whole family of the Fantastic Four really is kind of important to this story. I don't know how they're going to work all that out. And I don't know exactly the sequencing of how they're going to have to release these things, but we have to get the X-Men. We have to get the X-Men, and we have to have the Fantastic Four if we're going to have Secret Wars, because they're just too crucial to Doctor Doom specifically. We have to have Doctor Doom established as this major threat in order for us to have a Secret Wars. Guys, let me know if you guys are picking up any of these books. Let me know if you're speculating on any of them. But I would recommend, at a minimum, you got to read these in some form or fashion, because you need to be kind of caught up as to how this is possibly going to play out. Thank you guys for watching. If at any point in time you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.